Most drivers believe that the geometric racing line is the fastest way through a corner, but what if I told you that it's not? In this video, I'll show you why the line you've been taught isn't always the quickest and what you should do instead. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the fastest line, but you'll also be able to act on it to shave seconds off your lap time. So if you're ready to stop losing speed, here's how. First of all, we have to define the geometric racing line. The geometric racing line is theoretically, emphasis on theoretically, the fastest way through a corner, and it's usually the biggest possible circle that can fit in a corner. I made this orange circle for you to demonstrate, and this orange circle has 4 characteristics. The first one is that you're as wide as possible on entry. The second one is that you hit the apex. In this case, I cut over it a little bit, but that's fine. The third thing is that it goes wide on exit. And the last characteristic is that you get on power right on the apex. And the reason we want to make this the biggest possible circle in the corner is because speed and rotation are inverse to each other. Take a look at this example on the centripetal circuit. When I increase my speed, I make a bigger circle, meaning that I have less rotation. But if I decrease my speed, the circle becomes smaller, meaning I have less rotation. So we want to have the biggest possible circle, which means that we have a higher speed, but we also want to make sure that this circle fits inside the corner. And these are the reasons why we use the geometric racing line. It's easy to understand and remember, it's comfortable for most beginner drivers, it's consistent, and it's repeatable. But the geometric racing line isn't always the fastest way through a corner, and I'm gonna give you 3 examples of when it's not. The first one is late and early apexing. Sometimes it's better to sacrifice the entry of the corner, and sometimes it's better to sacrifice the exit of the corner. The geometric racing line puts an equal emphasis on entry and exit, but they're almost never equal. The next reason is car balance. Sometimes the car is oversteery, and this means that you cannot take the geometric racing line without either crashing out or being under the limit. So if the car is oversteery, we might want to do an earlier and much less aggressive turn-in. And the last reason is that we can get more rotation on entry, because when we brake, we get more rotation, and when we accelerate, we get less rotation. So we should try to get more rotation on the entry part where the car is braking, because braking leads to more rotation. So let's get the rotation done on the braking part. Okay, here's how to actually apply what I've been talking about on track. For the late and early apexing part, take a look at the track map. After a corner, is there a really long straight like this, for example? Or is there a really quick turn like this, for example? If there's a long straight, do a late apex. But if there's a really quick turn, then do an early apex. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention, here's what a late apex would look like. So we stay wide, and then we turn in late, because hence the name, late apex. And what we're doing here is we're doing most of the rotation on the entry part of the corner, so we can get on throttle earlier and have a better exit. Ignore this part where it's like bendy, I'm not good at drawing. And an early apex would look something like this, where we're wide, and then we turn in really early, hence the name early apex. And the point of the early apex is that we carry as much speed as possible into the corner. With the early apex, we're basically throwing ourselves into the corner, with the exit being an afterthought. And then here you might go something like this, like that. Again, these are just examples. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is car balance. So if we're oversteering, we're gonna turn in earlier and we're gonna turn in way less aggressively. Because with the standard racing line, if we're oversteering, we're gonna spin out if we try taking it normally. And if you're like, okay, we can't take the standard racing line normally, then you're just gonna go into the corner with the standard racing line, but you're gonna be doing it slower. So you're either under the limit or you crash. Or if you don't want to do either of those, you can do this. I pointed to my monitor screen and I forgot you guys can't see that. So here's what an oversteering line would look like, or a line meant to help deal with oversteer. We start off wide and then we turn in much earlier, and we turn in earlier and less aggressively with the oversteering line. And again, this isn't exactly like a one-to-one perfect replica racing line. I'm not a good drawer. And the last and most important one is more rotation on entry, because we know that braking gives more rotation than acceleration. So why should we split the rotation 50-50 between the entry and the exit if we can rotate more on the entry? Here, I made this little diagram. Rotation on entry is more powerful than rotation on exit. So here's what this type of line would look like. Okay, I know it's a bit hard to see, but bear with me. This red line over here, is the red and green part, is the geometric racing line. And this orange and blue part is the updated racing line that I'm talking about. So let me delete these real quick. In this version, we're rotating more on the entry part. Take a look at this. The apex is here, right? Look at the rotation done on the entry compared to the exit. We did our fair share of the rotation on entry, and we get on power much earlier compared to the geometric line. In the geometric line, look at where we're getting on power. Here compared to here. So yeah, just try all three of these things out on track. And to recap, the geometric racing line is the biggest possible circle that can fit in a corner, and it is theoretically the fastest racing line. But it's usually better to take unconventional lines, and unconventional in quotes. For example, early turn-in, late apex, more rotation on entry, early apex, late turn-in. I didn't write that one. Anyways, if you liked the video, subscribe if you want, and bye.